was observing some robins. Earlier, you can see that though the main body of the bird team has fled, there's still some who didn't. They decided that the threat wasn't either significant or close enough to respond yet. And the threat is a dog that the first responders heard and fled. So what we're seeing here is an incredibly, by the way, here's the dog. So there somewhere, oh, there he is. So what we're seeing here is a really complex network. You can see that these birds are definitely only modestly in some kind of competition. And what's actually going on is very sophisticated, because when the animals appear together, it's a social moment for them, just like it is for us. So each bird, each participant, and even pairs of birds and stuff, they're aware that they're being observed. And so there's some display behavior, as well as the most important thing, multi-sensing. So that was a blue jay, interloper. There's still at least one bird on the field. Yeah, there's a couple of birds on the field still. And I'll continue to kind of watch these particular birds as I talk a bit more. So these birds are hitchhiking on each other's intelligence, curiosity, threat detection, opportunity detection, and it forms a superorganism. It does this absolutely naturally, without any predefined rules. It's just a natural thing for these birds that have been doing this for billions of generations of these birds. We should think about generations, not years, when we're thinking about organisms, right? You want to think about how many generations, because years doesn't correlate with the living time of the animals and the plants. So these birds form an incredibly sophisticated network of sensing, and that benefits everybody all the time. And there are birds in this group that are incredibly sensitive, that flee at the very first hint of a problem. And there are other birds in this group that will stay until the problem becomes blatantly obvious, right? Until the threat becomes obvious. Like this little bird right here is pretty bold. It's not afraid to stand 20 feet from me. Right? Whereas most of the other birds would probably prefer a little more distance. So my point is, it's the diversity of sensing in the group. It's not who senses best, and it's not who senses right. It's how do we sense better together every time we sense. And that's what these birds are doing. We've got an incoming jogger, and you can see, again, the diverse response of the group. Some birds head for cover, others are like, you know what, I've seen about 50,000 joggers. Well, I've seen 5,000 joggers. And most of them didn't actually chase me, even though, you don't want to stand right next to one. So when these birds come together to feed, and I was watching some robins doing this a little while ago, they form a super animal immediately, and it's a really profound thing that I think deserves a lot more attention than we usually give it. Because we do this too, but we're not kind of aware of it, and some of the ways we do it have to do with weird ideas and rules and language and concepts formally. Right? And by the way, the robins were very similar. They were feeding in a large group of probably 34 birds, and they were much more highly responsive to threats than these sparrows are. And there were some other birds mixed in with them, and even the other birds, right, were hitchhiking with the robins, and the robins were hitchhiking on the other birds. Again, you know, you wouldn't get 30 birds in a large group if nature was about competition. Though I'll admit there's some spice of that in the mix, so to speak, in the ingredient list. These birds survive and prosper better together, right? And in general, you'll find these birds in groups. And they set up incredibly complex layered signaling networks. I was listening to the very tiny birds that forage on the vertical trees, and they have a very high-pitched, elaborate signaling network that's just constant when they're together. And there might be, you know, 15 to 30 birds in that group. And you can hear just this elaborate web of constant chirping and signaling. So now we have a dog coming close, and this is the bravest bird. And even that one's going to head for the tree for a minute. I think that's a female. So they've moved largely over there. Well, actually, I can follow them. They're over here, though they're still responding to threats. And this is the astonishing thing, right? None of those single birds, nor any tiny group of them, of 2 or 3, can outperform what they can do together as a fluid, unified intelligence. And all of nature is like this, not just the birds. It's quite astonishing. The bees form a profoundly distributed superintelligence. The ants, colonies of mice. There are animals that are more or less solitary, but I'm not sure that's the common situation. Right? That might be a result of environmental stress, loss of habitat, loss of cohort. Yeah, these birds are totally aware that I am here. They're not particularly concerned about me at the moment. The group size has shrunk. The main group is up in the trees nearby, over here, and over on terrain that's a little less traveled back that way. But I was really just astonished at the immediate, like right when I saw the robins hunting together, foraging together, and how each bird was uniquely in that group, and how they were sort of meta-sensing the environment this way, and how the diversity of the group was profoundly crucial to their intelligence, right? You need ultra-sensitive birds, and you need birds who are bold enough to hang around and see if the threat was really valid. There's a whole range of behavior, and there's early signalers and late signalers, and there's tentative signalers and emphatic signalers. All of this incredible intelligence, right? And it's right in front of my face. And it really struck me in that moment. I've seen the robins feed together many times. I know that birds form distributed intelligences in groups. And even birds of different species. I'll see blackbirds with sparrows and starlings and red-winged blackbirds all together, sort of forming little roving supergroups. And there's a whole other kind of intelligence. An intelligence for which play is absolutely primordial. I mean, you get dogs together, what do? They play.
Easily distracted.
Right?
Easily distracted.
Yeah, we're watching a ritual here that's millions of years old. that's about it for now. I might talk a little more on the topic later. I just wanted to sort of catch it while it was happening in front of me. So, yeah. Thanks for stopping by.